If I was your boyfriend, I'd never let you go. Keep you on my arm, girl, you'd never be alone. I could be a gentleman, anything you want. If I was your boyfriend, I'd never let you go. Tell me what you like, yeah, tell me what you don't, I could be a boy.
G'day guys, my name's Dave Tran and welcome to another Throwback Thursday edition of a GuitarZero2Hero song tutorial. And by request, today I'll be teaching you how to play the acoustic version of Boyfriend by Justin Bieber. Now for the basics, you'll need your guitar in standard tuning and you won't need a capo. Now if you want to master your chords back to front, then be sure to head over to GuitarZero2Hero.com to pick up my free guitar ebook. Alright, so we're going to be finger picking this song. And for the finger picking basics, your thumb will take care of the 6th, 5th and 4th strings, and your index, middle and ring finger will take care of the 3rd, 2nd and 1st strings respectively. And they won't pick any other strings other than the ones they're assigned to. Now the acoustic version might sound really complicated just because the amount of licks and extra little fills that the guitarist adds in. However, at its core, this is a very easy song. I'm going to teach you the fundamental riffs. I'm not going to teach you every single lick and variation, otherwise we'd be here for years. So let's start with our intro, and the intro is pretty much the same as the first verse as well, with minor variations. Now there's 3 main positions that will base most of the verse and chorus around. For the first position, you'll take your index finger and put it on the 8th fret of the 5th string, and your pinky finger will go on the 10th fret of the 2nd string. That's our first position. Our second position will be with our middle finger on the 7th fret of the 5th string and ring finger on the 7th fret of the 3rd string. And then our third position for the verse and chorus will just be a normal A minor chord shape. So to start the intro, we're going to play this first position, pluck those 2 strings at the same time, and then we're going to do a slap. So for the muted slap, you'll just basically drop your hand onto the strings like that. Now remember to keep your fingers still curled and ready to be in positions. So drop these fingers onto the strings that they're assigned to, just so you're ready to play the next notes. So we're going to pluck it on the 1, slap on the 2 beat, and then we're going to pluck those 2 strings again on the end beat after the 2. And then you're going to slap again on the 4 beat. So it'll sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Then we go to our second position. We'll pluck the 5th and the 3rd string at the same time on the 1, slap on the 2. We'll play them 2 strings again on the end beat after the 2. So it'll sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3. On the end beat after the 3, we're then going to pluck the 5th string again. And then on the 4th beat, we'll be plucking the 3rd string, but we'll slide that up like that. So, and 4 and that second position all together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And then we're going to go to our third position, which is the A minor. We're going to pluck the 5th string, 3rd string and 2nd string at the same time on the 1, slap on the 2 and 2, pluck on the end beat after the 2. So 1 and 2 and then on the end beat after the 3, we're going to pluck the 1st and 2nd strings together, just those 2 by themselves, and then slap on the 4. And then on the end beat after the 4, we'll go back to the bass note, which is the 5th string. So that bar will sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And then for our last bar, we're going to start by plucking those 3 strings for the A minor. And we're going to slap on the 2. And then with your ring finger, you'll put it on the 4th string and we'll slide up to the 7th fret. We can slide from anywhere, but it just needs to be quick. And that's on the end beat after the 2. And then you'll bar the 5th fret with your index finger. We're going to pluck the 1st and 2nd strings on the 3 beat, go back to the 4th string on the end beat after the 3. Then we'll pluck the 3rd and 2nd strings together on the 4th beat, and then go back to the 4th string on the end beat after the 4. So that little section will sound like this. And 3 and 4 and the full bar. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And all together, the intro will sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So that's it for the intro. Now we get to the first verse. And before we get to the first verse, I just want to clarify that there are only really two sort of main riffs in this song. The first main riff will only be played basically in the first verse, and then for the rest of the song we're going to be using pretty much the second riff variation, which we'll get to later. So for the first verse, it's very similar to what we had the intro. The first 3 bars are going to be exactly the same. The only thing that differs is the last bar. And for the last bar, we're going to pluck these 3 strings on the 1 beat, slap on the 2 beat, pluck them again on the end beat after the 2, and then we're going to pluck the 3rd and 2nd strings on the end beat after the 3, slap on the 4 beat, and then hit the open bass note on the end beat after the 4. So the last bar will just sound like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the total first verse riff: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 you just repeat that over and over again for the first verse. Now we get to the pre-chorus, and the first line of the pre-chorus is the second main riff that we're going to use basically throughout the rest of the song. So everything's shortened a little. We're going to use the exact same 3 chord positions, but the amount of time we're going to hang on to each one is going to shorten a little. So for our first position, we're going to play this on the 1 beat, slap on the 2 beat, and then go to the second position and play this on the end beat after the 2. On the end beat after the 3, we'll hit this 5th string again, and on the 4th beat, we'll hit the 3rd string and slide up to that 9th fret. So that first bar will just sound like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... So notice how it's similar to our first verse riff, but just shortened. And then when we go to our A minor chord shape, we're basically just playing the last bar of the first verse riff, which is these 3 strings on the 1, slap on the 2, pluck them again on the end beat after the 2, pluck the 2nd and 3rd strings on the end beat after the 3, slap on the 4, and play that bass note on the end beat after the 4. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... So the first line of this pre-chorus will sound like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Then we get to the second line of this pre-chorus. The first bar will be exactly the same, but for the second bar, we're just going to play this shape that we had in the intro. So ring finger goes on the 7th fret of the 4th string, and then we bar our index finger on the 5th fret of the 3rd, 2nd and 1st strings. And we're just going to strum from the 5th string onwards and slide that shape down and slap on the 2 and slap on the 4. So it'll just sound like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... And in total, the pre-chorus will sound like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Then we get to the chorus, and the chorus now, and even the second verse, is just built off this second main riff that I was talking about. And that second main riff we've just learnt in that pre-chorus, which goes... So that's the second main riff, and that's just going to be used throughout the rest of the song now. Now at the end of the first chorus, there's one little fancy riff. I'll show you that, but I won't show you any other variations for the rest of this song. So for this variation, the first bar is exactly the same. And then we have a riff that goes like this: pinky finger on the 12th fret of the 1st string. You're going to hit that and then pull off to the 8th fret of the 1st string. Then with your ring finger, we'll go to the 10th fret. Then your index finger, 9th fret of the next string. Then middle finger will go onto the 10th fret of the 4th string. And then we'll go back to the 3rd string. And then back to the 2nd string of the 10th fret. So all of that together: pull off, 10th fret, 9th fret, 10th fret, 9th fret, 10th it in full. Now, of course, if that is too hard, you can just continue playing that main chorus riff again and again. Then our second verse is exactly the same as that main chorus riff. Next, we get to our bridge, which involves some strumming. So we have 2 lines of chords here. For our first line of chords, we have an A minor, and then we have a D minor, then an E minor, then a G chord. Now, it's best to play this G chord as a G bar chord, because we're going to go to a G sharp / E next. To play that, your index finger will go on the 4th fret of the 6th string, pinky finger on the 7th fret of the 5th, and ring finger on the 6th fret of the 4th string. So for this, we're going to use a fairly easy strumming pattern. It's just 8 down strums followed by an up strum. So it'll sound like this. Down, 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 up. Now you're going to play one full strumming pattern for the A minor, the D minor, and then E minor. But for the G to the G sharp / E, that's going to be within one strumming pattern. You'll play the G for 4 strumming patterns, and then the rest of it will be this G sharp / E. So the first line will sound like this. Then the second line is identical, except for this G and this G sharp / E, we're going to have a different strumming pattern that just goes down, down, slap. And you're going to play that once for the G and once for the G sharp / E. So it'll sound like this. Down, down, slap. Down, down, slap. And the second line in total. And then you go back into another chorus. Now there is one final variation that we need to learn, and this happens before the NANANA section. Now the first part of the main riff is exactly the same. But when we go to our A minor chord, we're just going to strum this down 8 times. So it'll sound like this. Then for our NANANA section, we just have 4 power chords here. We start with our A power chord. So this is a power chord, index finger on the 5th fret of the 6th string, ring and pinky on the 7th fret of the 5th and 4th. You just want to focus on those strings. Don't let any of these strings ring out open. They need to be muted. So we have that power chord. Then we have a D power chord, which is the exact same shape, just down 1 string. Now you want to keep this 6th string muted. So a good way of doing that is taking your open middle finger and just lightly resting it on that string so that doesn't ring out. So we have the D power chord, then we go to a G power chord, and then a C power chord, which is the same shape, just down 1 string on the 3rd and 5th fret. Now our strumming pattern here is going to go like this. Down, 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 up, down, up. But the first 2 down strums are the only down strums where we'll hold the chord down. The last down, up will just be mutes. So to mute, just lift your fingers up off the frets and just lightly rest them on the strings. So for the A, for example, our first 2 down strums, we hold it down, 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 and then lift them, and the rest is a down, up, down, up. I'm going to do that once for each chord. So the NANANA section will sound like this. Down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up. And then finally, to end the song, we're going to be playing the main riff. But when we go to this A minor, so we're just going to play the A minor 1 note at a time. So start with the 5th string, then go to the 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. And that ends the song. So now I'm going to be playing this song in its entirety, and I'm going to have a vocal track on top for some context. So feel free to play this back as many times as you'd like to practice, play along to, and see how you go.
If I was your boyfriend, I'd never let you go. Keep you on my arm, girl. You'd never be alone. I could be a gentleman, anything you want. If I was your boyfriend, I'd never let you go. Tell me what you like, yeah, tell me what you do. I could be a boss like you, fly across the globe, but I never wanna find you. You already know I'ma make you shine bright like you're lying in the store. Yeah, girlfriend, girlfriend, you could be my girlfriend, you could be my girlfriend. Till the world ends, make it dance to a spin in a twirling. Voice going crazy on this hook like a whirlwind swing. I'd like to be everything you want. Hey girl, let me talk to you. If I was your boyfriend, I'd never let you go. Keep you on my arm, girl. You'd never be alone. And I can be a gentleman, anything you want. If I was your boyfriend, I'd never let you go. So give me a chance, 'cause all I
Hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial. Be sure to head over to GuitarZero2Hero.com to pick up my free guitar ebook. If you've enjoyed this, then hit that like button, hit subscribe, and click the little notification bell so that you don't miss out on my updates. Please leave your thoughts, comments, questions, and requests for a Throwback Thursday down below. It really helps me decide on what to teach next. And I'll see you guys next time on Guitar Zero to Hero. Cheers.